get your animal-related questions in, or your dog-related questions, should we say, because on the line I have the dog man as he comes up on the phone. Still love that, Darren the dog man. Mindfulness for dogs, Darren Rome. Morning to you, Darren.
Good morning, Mel.
It always makes me giggle. Darren the dog man. That's your description.
I like that a lot.
Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? Hey, so we've got through Guy Fawkes, which, phew, because that was quite something. Well, when I say we've got through, it's probably going to go on for a few more days. So great tips that you gave us last week about looking after your dog. And you know how you talked about putting music and things on? I saw that somewhere in the UK, actually, I think it was the concert channel in the UK, they played on Guy Fawkes Night music designed for your pets.
I think they did it. I think it was Classic FM.
Yeah, that's the one. That's
a little post about it, yeah. It's really good, actually. We should do something. Some channel in New Zealand should do that, definitely.
Yeah, we should indeed. Hey, before we get into it, I want to start with a question because we have a caller on the line, 0800 844 747, if you do want to ask Darren a question. Karen, good morning to you. How are you? You're on with Darren.
Morning, Karen.
Yes, I am. I'm just on the queue.
You are. So what's your question?
My question is, we have a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, and when she was a small puppy, my husband was away, and I gave in to her sleeping behind me on my pillow, warm, snug, quiet. 2 years later, she's still doing it, and she snores loudly. What do I do?
Help!
Oh, no. Oh, terrible. And the Cavalier do suffer from that brachycephalic problem, so they're never going to stop snoring. That's just the way they are. Hey, you want to take it right back to almost when she was a puppy. And is she crate trained at all?
Yes, she was initially. And then, sadly, one night, you give in and that's the end.
Yeah. So you're going to have to do a little bit of tough love, I guess, and take her back to that crate and do that crate training again. I can flick forward a little video to you just on how you do that if you drop your email to me. And what we can do then is you can slowly start to progress her back into that crate on the floor rather than on the pillow. But like all things, she's been a bit spoiled over the time. So if you suddenly take it away from her completely, she's going to freak out and probably scream her head off in the crate. So you want to do maybe one day on, one day off, and then slowly start to move the days into the crate. One thing you could do is take the pillowcase off that you've used. That will have your scent in it, and then put that in the crate, and that's going to just allow her to sort of still feel that you're there. But you might be in for a little bit of a rough time at the beginning, unfortunately, just because you're taking the toys away from her.
Help? If we put that in the crate? One of our pillows. If we actually put a pillow of...
I wouldn't put the pillow in there just because if she starts to tear it, if she gets stressed out and starts to tear it, she might have feathers everywhere. But the pillowcase at least will normally have most of the smell on it, and that might be a good option.
So do we start with crate training during the day?
Yeah, so if she's not been in the crate for a while, I would definitely do a couple of minutes in the crate during the day and then build that time up. Like I say, you basically feed her in the crate, make that crate so much fun for her that she just wants to go in there, dying to get in the crate every night. And then put her to bed at a certain time, just a little bit before you go to bed. And I would leave it in the bedroom.
We used to take the crate to our room or to my daughter's room.
Yeah,
do we do that again?
Yeah. I would leave the crate in your bedroom at the moment, and then I would slowly start again once she's okay in there and then she's sleeping through the night. I'd slowly start to move that crate out to wherever you really want her to be. But it's a bit like a child. Fine. Yeah. Yeah, then if that's okay, then that's fine. As long as she sleeps through the night and she's not waking you up to go to the toilet and anything like that, then you're all good.
Good luck, Karen.
Take it nice and slowly because you don't want her to scream at you every night.
No one needs a dog screaming at them. Good luck, Karen, and thank you so much for your call. If you do have a question for Darren, 0800 844 747 is the number, or you can text it if you want to. If you can't get to a phone, 3920. So let's talk about resource gardening. Gardening.
Yeah.
What exactly is it?
Resource gardening. Resource gardening. That would be it's a really important problem, and a lot of people have their dogs at resource gardens and don't really think about it. We just think they're being dominant, okay, so we have to be the boss of the dog, which we don't need to. So basically resource gardening is where a dog almost covets something, so that they have a treat, they have a toy, they have a food, they have a person, and they'll guard that person with their life, and sometimes they get really quite aggressive. And it's a problem that I see quite a lot in as clients, and really people have no idea how to deal with it. And the way they are dealing with it is completely the wrong way to look at it. And they can actually make it worse. Particularly if you think they're being dominant, you're going to make it worse every time.
So what do you do?
A really bad one. Yeah, so first of all, there's a couple of things we need to think about. Dogs are not, how can we put it, they don't have the same awareness as us, right? So when they have something in their mouth, it's theirs. When it's not in their mouth, it's not theirs. Okay, or if it's close to them, and if it's far away, it's not theirs. So we need to understand that they're not the sort of thing, that's mine, I'm going to keep it, I'm going to guard it forever. It's just when it's in close proximity to them, it's theirs. And if it's in short resource, or short demand, so the fact that something, just there's only one toy, and that's their special toy, okay, and if they can't get it all the time, then they're going to start to resource guard that toy potentially, yeah? Right. So we need to make sure that we're understanding that, first of all, that if it's only their occasion, like food only goes down once a day or twice a day, then they're going to guard that resource if they're a resource guarder. Now, not all dogs are resource guarders, right? But if they've been, and again, it goes down to good breeding and good breeders, if the breeder hasn't done the right thing and hasn't managed that resource guarding as a puppy, then you'll have inherited a problem, which never goes away, guys, okay? Resource guarding can be managed, it can be trained, but it never goes away. So you really need to make sure you're on top of that from the day one. As soon as you see your puppy or your dog start to resource guard, you've got to get on top of it. Okay. Get a trainer in, or get some really good advice from here. Now, the advice I'm going to give you doesn't take over a dog trainer, okay? So have a go, but then get a dog trainer to help you with this if that's the case.
Okay, so this is really important.
It is, because you're going to get bitten. Because the most important thing is it never goes away and it never gets better by itself. It always gets worse, right? And the reason I'm talking about it today is because I've had 3 or 4 clients this week, because I'm back training. No, I'm back training.
Hooray!
Yeah, outside, obviously. Outside. I've had 3 or 4 clients that have got resource guarders that have developed or come to the fore, shall we say, through lockdown, because, you know, we see it more during lockdown too around the dogs. So never punish your dog for resource guarding, because if you start to punish them, they're going to cover that even more, and they're going to want to hold on to it even more, right? Never forcefully try and remove anything from the dog's mouth. 2 reasons, really. First of all, they're going to bite you. But secondly, if you remove it from them, they're more likely to want to hold on to it even more, aren't they? Because then it becomes more of a resource to guard. Yeah, common sense again, but we don't tend to think about that. So what we've got to do is we've got to train our dog to trade for something. So we've got to get a really, really stinky, smelly chew toy. Ideally something a bit long, because if we have something a bit longer, then your hands aren't right near their mouths, right? And you're going to wave that around their nose, and you're going to make them want that so much that they're going to drop what they're holding, and they're going to grab your toy. Now, you're not going to let go of that toy, that treat, sorry. You're just going to keep it there, and you're going to slowly sort of like get them really interested in it and move them away from the object they've dropped. Now, most important thing, do not at any time try and grab the object they've dropped. Okay, don't rush to grab it quickly, because then that movement is going to attract the dog, and the dog's going to go towards your hand, which is then the object, and then they're going to start to bite you again. So you've got to totally ignore, no matter what it is, even if it's your $2,000 shoes or whatever.
Okay.
Seen that before. Okay. Then what you do is you move the dog away quite a distance, and then when they're really, really into that treat toy and they're just, nothing else matters, that's when you go casually, calmly and quietly, just go and pick up whatever the object is and put it away somewhere safe so the dog doesn't steal it. And you keep doing that over and over again, so that it's the exchange that's the important bit. You're trying to change the dog's long-term way of thinking as opposed to short-term.
Right, okay. Is there any particular chew toy you should be looking at, or is it just something that's long so your hands aren't going to get nipped?
Yeah, I would just grab something that really, I mean, some of those sort of leathery ones, if you call it. I don't like the some of the leathery ones, but if you any long toy, if you dip it in something really stinky, so dip it in pilchards or something like that, mackerel or something like that, then it's going to smell for the dog, isn't it? So have those at hand, obviously, because if you've got a resource guard, it's something you deal with every day.
That sounds revolting.
But you don't want to rush this process. Yeah, you don't want to rush this process, but it has to be something that's really important for the dog to let go of that toy. But the more value and the more energy you put into the object they've got in their mouth, the more they're going to want to hold on to it.
So something that smells gross and dead is really going to work for them, isn't it?
Oh, totally, yeah. Yeah, it stinks. Horrible. Wear gloves if you need to. It's so important to get this one right. And if you really have a go, and if you're struggling, get a trainer in to help you, okay? Because what happens is the dog ends up biting a young kid or something like that in the family, and then it gets put down. And it's really not not necessary.
So that's all well and good to do that, but what happens if there's a bit of an emergency, like your dog's got something, or I don't know, a bird or something that could really hurt?
A friend of mine just had a dog that swallowed a pair of socks and actually had quite a blockage. So sometimes it's really important to get that out of their mouth really quickly, and we can't go through this process. So that first method is training, trying to get the dog to think it through and change the way they're thinking. The second method then is the emergency method. So this is when you have some really, really smelly treats, because they've got to be higher value than whatever the dog's got in their mouth, right? So all you do is you now, this is a bit of a warning, you bring your hand a bit closer to the dog so they can smell the treats, but obviously you don't want the dog to bite you, so you've got to make sure that your dog's okay with that. And you throw those treats on the floor, right next to the dog. Right? The dog's then going to smell all those really stinky treats and stick its mouth down there to eat that, and it can't eat and hold on to whatever it's doing. Right? It's going to drop what it's got in its mouth. At no point do you try and grab what's on the floor, the object is dropped, because, again, your dog's just going to bite you again. What you do is you let them get really involved in all those treats. And we're talking 10, 15 treats on the floor. By that time, you've got another handful, and you've thrown that, and make sure the dog sees you throw. You're throwing about 2-3 meters away from you. Okay? The dog's then going to finish off what he's eating there, and because dogs are greedy, they're just going to charge to get the other treat, especially if it's really nice and smelly. And then you can calmly and casually, and again, calmly and casually is the most important thing, pick up the object and then put it somewhere safe where it should have been in the first place.
Right, okay. Gosh, it's more involved than what I would have thought. And I guess it's something that you really need to start doing as soon as you get your puppy.
Oh, yeah, because most of those behaviours are starting from the puppy. When you start to, if a puppy's got something in his mouth and you grab it and you pull it out of their mouth, you're already starting the potential for a resource guarder. We're not covered resource guarding people here. That's a totally different issue. And if you've got that, get a trainer and a behaviourist in straight away. There's no arguments about that when you need help. Yeah, but if it's something in their mouth or it's their food, we've got a resource guarder. As a puppy, she came into us. We've done loads of things. We can manage it now, but she gets fed in a crate because we don't want any hassle. We don't want her to feel stressed out because someone could steal her food. She knows when she's in the crate, no one can steal her food, and she can just happily eat it, and then she just walks off, and then we pick her bowl up.
Right, so it's not so much about you don't fix it, but you manage it.
A lot of it, yeah. And in time, when you change when a dog doesn't do something for a long time, then the habit starts to break. But you need to give them the opportunity not to do the behaviours, not to aggress against you, and then they'll start to think, well, maybe I don't need to as much. But yeah, you're always managing this kind of behaviour. It's not something that gets completely trained out of the dog.
Okay, we've got a question come in.
In my opinion.
Yes, so try it. If in doubt, get a trainer and to sort this out, because it could be long-term issues. Let's end on a question from Julie, and it's an old favourite of ours, this question. We have a husky collie cross, a lovely 11-year-old boy. We introduced a kitten a year ago. They've become good buddies. However, the dog has developed a great taste for his poops in the garden. It smells disgusting, but I'm concerned it's not good for him. He had diarrhoea yesterday. Could this be related? Any suggestions? Appreciated.
Oh, totally, yeah. And cat poo, I think, is the worst one ever. There's so many. If you go on the internet, there's so many different things that people say. I think personally, the only way to get around that, I think it's called copy something. I can never remember the name of it. The only way to get around it, in my opinion, is you cleaning up the poo and it not being available. Because I've never found a way I've never found a supplement or training really that works around that. It's about you cleanliness, about picking up the poo, making sure it's not available for the dog to do. Again, it's a habit. Dogs get used to it. They watch the cat, it poos, and the cat poo's really smelly. Probably the cat poo is really smelly as well. So it's a habit that they get into. So yeah, you've got to get out there and you've got to clean the poo before you let your dog out.
Easier said than done, because cats can stealth poo. You don't know where they're going.
It is easier said than done, yeah, definitely. We've got a dog that eats his poo occasionally, and it's always when we just haven't got out there before he's gone outside and picked up his poo. He just goes and eats it. He's a nightmare. He'll have a poo and he'll go and eat it straight away.
Oh.
It's got to be so quick.
And on that, I hope you're enjoying your breakfast if you have just joined in and you're listening. Hey, Darren, thank you so much for your time.
You that one.
I did.
No
that's my bad. It always goes back to the gutter or to the poo. I hope that helped you a bit, Julie, anyway. So basically, you just got to get out there and clean it up, because nothing's going to stop them. It tastes delicious. Darren, thank you so much. And if people want to find out more, best thing to do is go and follow you on Facebook.
Yep, or you can check out the website.
Mindfulness for Dogs. Always a pleasure talking to you and getting some advice on our pet pooches.